Tough choice. Do I start with the fight or do I start with the game? The fight was way more interesting than the game last night. Probably more competitive too. But for your sake, Frisco fan, I'm going to start by giving your Frisco Niners some credit today because all they do is win. They just keep winning no matter how banged up they are. Not that it's actually always pretty. In fact, actually, it was pretty hideous for a lot of last night. Of course, Brock Purdy's 3 INTs in the first half had a lot to do with that. In fact, 3 first-half interceptions in that game was pretty much the worst thing that Brock Purdy could do. However, that led to the whole internet wondering about Mac Jones. And never mind that it could cost them the game. It didn't because Carolina couldn't capitalize. But what it did do was fire up the entire internet and talk about another Niners quarterback controversy. Because how could we not have one of those? But again, as I've said, there is no actual controversy here. Brock is the guy. They've already paid that guy. Mac is lined up behind Brock. Mac knows his spot. Brock knows his spot. And Kyle Jr. Lobster Shanahan maintains incredible faith in Brock. Said as much last night. Now, all that said, one more INT, especially in that first half, probably would have been a major problem for Purdy. Like, I believe Junior Lobster when he says he didn't actually consider making a change at halftime. He actually had a one-word answer to that question. Quote, no.
No.
No, that's like a 3-word answer. No. The one-word version of Rex. No. Hey, Lobster, did you consider making a quarterback switch at intermission when Brock had 3? Lobster said, and I quote, no.
No,
I did not.
No.
Look, I believe that. But again, would one more pick, and then he's got no choice but to consider making that change, right? Except once again, Carolina was doing nothing with those gifts. J.C. Horn should get some credit for making a couple of amazing plays. And yes, Brock did let those balls float a bit. I don't know if it was rust or his toe or both or neither. I just know that as ugly as those 3 INTs were, he still did not throw the ugliest pick of that game. No, that distinction goes to Bryce Young. Now, admit, Bryce has looked a lot less like a middle school kid of late and more like an NFL quarterback of late. Except that pick on the goal line last night was some Pop Warner schoolboy nonsense. You didn't even get benched in Pop Warner for a hideous pick like that. 1st and goal for Carolina on the Frisco 1. Down 7-0. And keep in mind, this is a really important game. A really important game for both those teams and a really important game for the Panthers. You're on the 1. You're down 7-0, and this is what you dial up?
Panthers on 1st and goal. Young keeps. He's got a man, and he's picked by Jair Brown.
Dude. I mean, I'm watching this again. How? Why? What on earth are you thinking? You're on the 1-yard line. You could have run it in. You could have thrown it into the 10th row. They could have just called a freaking running play on 1st and goal at the 1. Anything would have been better than that decision. Any decision. You see, this is how you wind up going into halftime trailing by 7, even though you picked Brock Purdy off 3 times in the first half. And as much as Bryce has improved, he's just got to get these loser plays out of his system, out of his game, or he's going to keep losing games that matter. Right when you think it's safe to trust that guy does that. Look, quarterbacks are going to make mistakes. Quarterbacks are going to try to force it into tight windows. Quarterbacks are going to try to let their guys make a play. Except that guy can't make that mistake in that situation this far into his career, especially when Carolina is probably still trying to decide whether or not they have their franchise quarterback or not. That guy can't do that. That's why I can't really get all that bent out of shape or that concerned about Brock's 3 picks. Brock threw 3 picks and still outplayed the other guy. Brock threw 3 picks and still had almost 4 times the QBR. 3 picks, and most importantly, Carolina did nothing with them. Although, to be fair, the positive result for the Niners had a lot to do with their use of Christian McCaffrey, in that they actually used Christian McCaffrey. Unlike the Panthers and Rico Dowdle, CMC ran it 24 times, caught it 7 times, had 142 scrimmage yards and a touchdown, and he's now the leading rusher and receiver in the NFL, if you can believe that. I mean, that'll happen when you're that good and you're still healthy and you just won't come off the field. That's a wild stat, but it's true. CMC leads the league in carries and receptions through 12 weeks. And that's just about the opposite situation from the Panthers and their feature back, Rico Dowdle, who somehow only carried the ball 6 times last night, despite averaging over 6 yards per carry on those carries. Even Rico was a little confused about his usage. That's what he posted. If you're on the stream, very confused and very distraught. I think that's the distraught emoji. Yeah, I think I would have spiral eyes also if I was Rico and I only had 2 carries in the second half and none in the fourth quarter. The Panthers did not even have a single designed running play in the fourth quarter. They called a pass on every play of both of their fourth quarter possessions. Look, I know they were down 11, but how are you going to put that game on Bryce Young? How are you going to put the game on Bryce Young? How did that work out for you, Dave Canales? I can answer, it didn't. It didn't. But enough about the game, right? I've spent a lot of time on a pretty average to mid to below mid game, right? Why don't we get to the good stuff? The scrap. Post-game handshakes. Because that's where things got a little spicy. The handshakes were almost more competitive than the game. They certainly were more entertaining than the game. Thanks to Jauan Jennings, seemingly coming out of nowhere to seemingly cheap shot Tre'von Moehrig. Like, where'd that come from? If you're watching on the stream, dude just swung on him, like out of nowhere. I mean, that certainly did escalate quickly. That right there, if you're watching, and if you're listening, let me describe it to you. That is the opposite of a post-game handshake. That was a post-game hand to the jaw. Post-game hand to the face. As always, guys throwing hands at other dudes wearing helmets is never the most intelligent look. Not a very good idea. Again, that's why guys were told, do not take your helmet off. But clearly, something made this dude snap. I mean, I don't know. How was it that in a post-game handshake, instead of shaking some guy's hand, you punch him in the jaw? It's almost like, I don't know. It's almost like he got blasted in the package or something. Oh, wait. Turns out, that's exactly what happened. Turns out there's a nut puncher in the NFL now. Easy, Chris Paul. Even Chris Paul can't believe how much Tre'von wound up for that nut punching. Do we have to add that to the list of reasons to go? Or universal reasons to go? We may have to. We were just reminded by Jalen Ramsey that if somebody spits in your face, that's a reason to go. I think we all agree on that. I think we can also all agree that if somebody winds up and goes full-on uppercut punch into your penis, that is a reason to go. Even Junior Lobster had his guys back after the game.
Yeah, the guy took a cheap shot and hit him in the I was real proud of Jauan for not losing his mind out there and getting him to the sideline.
Do we have to bleep that out? Is that on the list? That's on the list. We have a list of things that we can't say. And apparently we can't play or say what Junior Lobster just said. Can I see that one more time, Alvy? I want the audience to try to speculate on what he said that we can't say.
Yeah, the guy took a cheap shot and hit him in the I was real proud of Jauan for not losing his mind out there and getting him to the sideline.
Yeah, I guess he means not lose his mind during the game, because he pretty much lost his mind after the game. I understand why. I understand why they had to physically tackle this dude to the ground to get him to calm down. And even that didn't work. I mean, they've got like 4 guys on this guy. Lobster Jr. says, I'm pretty proud. I'm pretty proud of Jauan for not losing his mind. What do you mean not losing his mind? They have like 4 security guys, 4 players. There's like 10 guys on this guy right now. And again, I understand why he's mad. And he went right to him, too. He went right to him afterwards. Like sought him out in the so-called handshake line. In the so-called punch him in the face line. Did you see how many guys it took to bring that guy down? And then he popped right back up. Like he was the Terminator or something. And wanted to keep swinging. But then again, that's what happens when somebody gives you a reason to go. Especially if that is the reason they gave you to go. It all seems pretty straightforward to me. But, let's at least let both dudes explain their side of the story, starting with Jauan.
TV gonna tell you what happened, man. I was just responding to me some childish behavior. That's all it was.
That's great. TV will tell you all you need to know, but me, I was just responding to childish behavior. Hey, man, he's not wrong. That was extremely childish. That behavior was beyond childish. Unless we're missing something. Let's let the nut puncher explain exactly what was going on and why he would justify squaring off on another dude's package.
I wanted to do some stuff after the play, talking crazy. So that's all there was to it, bro.
What's talking crazy? Would you like to share what talking crazy?
Nah, we ain't gotta share all that, but I guess that's really it, all it is to it, man.
Like just crazy talk, that's all. Huh? Really? Like how crazy? Yeah, we don't need to go there. Let's not get into that. So what you're telling me is...
Let's not get into that, yeah.
That was all a result of some smack talk? That's all it was? That's all there was to it? He was talking smack? So you decided to swing on his penis. Isn't there trash talking every second of every single game? How can that be your excuse for squaring off on this dude's nuts? All you ever hear in any football game is smack talk. It's a game of smack. It's like the NBA. One-upsmanship. If every time somebody talked junk, somebody swung on somebody's junk, there'd be no junk left to swing on. Something tells me the league, every bit of junk will be obliterated.
If you touch my junk, I'm going to have you arrested.
Every bit of junk. If somebody swang on somebody's junk, every time somebody talked junk, every bit of junk in that league would be vaporized. Something tells me the league is not going to like that excuse. You might as well have just said, I don't like the way he was looking at me. He looked sideways at me, so I just squared up on his junk. You see, where I come from, you disrespect me, I disrespect your junk. Everybody knows that about me. At least I thought they did. Jennings did. Well, Jennings didn't, but now he does. And let that be a lesson to anybody else who tries to talk junk to me. I'll be talking to junk. Well, I'll be talking junk to your junk with my fists. Don't talk junk to me. Don't talk junk to me, or I'll talk junk to your junk with my fists. Let me tell you something. You spit junk at me, I'll kick you in the junk. Sad state of affairs that was the highlight of that game. And it was after the game.